fight?
No. You rise to the occasion. Experience comes with age, and I've been hearing a lot about age, you know.
We are now, and I finally get to check that off my list, and I knew this was going to be a big fight. The build up for this is huge. The press conferences are entertaining. It's a spectacle.
With only 17 days left before Anthony Joshua faces Jake Paul, tension keeps rising as both fighters push harder than ever. Joshua is sharpening his power, precision, and footwork, while Jake grinds through tough conditioning to stay competitive. Every session counts now, and the atmosphere around the matchup grows heavier as the countdown continues.
And I have nothing but love for him, but I'm going to knock him out respectfully, and you know, we can hug and kiss afterwards, specifically kiss.
Anthony Joshua's camp for the Jake Paul fight is fully underway, and this time he's made a big change by switching training teams. After his knockout loss in September 2024 and elbow surgery, this preparation feels more urgent than ever. He's reportedly working on conditioning, technique, footwork, and ringcraft with Usyk's coaches to come in sharper and smarter. Joshua admits the switch has pushed him harder both physically and mentally, helping him rebuild confidence, refine his strengths, and get ready for what could be a high-stakes comeback. Anthony Joshua starts his mornings with intense ice baths to strengthen his body and speed up recovery. The freezing water reduces inflammation, keeps his muscles fresh, and builds mental toughness. He says these cold therapy sessions sharpen his focus and prepare him for the heavy training ahead. It's a strict routine that shows his dedication to staying strong and ready for the upcoming fight.
Do know, Simon, I think he's at that stage of his career where he's trying to rediscover a little bit of that confidence. He's gone to Alexander Usyk, where we're hearing reports he's out there training with Usyk and the team, trying to pick up something, trying to rediscover something.
That's very strange, Paul, isn't it?
It is, but it's not unheard of. I've heard of a lot of fighters doing that. You see fighters, obviously, it's the old Rocky movies years ago, but you see a fighter losing to someone, all of a sudden they go in the camp and they start training and do little bits together and become friends or whatever else. I think it'll do Joshua no harm travelling, but as you say, he's a little bit long in the tooth and he's a bit on the back nine rather than the front nine, where that experience would really come into play. But I'm just looking at his record here. He obviously, after the Usyk fight, he'd come back and he had 3 fights and then the Ngannou demolition job.
Well, yeah, Jermaine Franklin, he had Robert Helenius, he had Otto Wallin, and he smashed Ngannou, which everyone went hallelujah for, right?
Yeah, but he's obviously not in like the boxrec rankings to see where he is. But the Dubois fight is a fight where, what you've just said then, Spencer, like, match him right. I felt he was matched right with Dubois. That's just my opinion. Obviously, I was wrong on that and I was proved wrong, but I felt like Joshua would have and should have came through that, but he obviously didn't. So therefore, it's back to the drawing board, and where do you go from there? What do you do from there? Does he keep the same team around him? Does he go and find someone new and try and adapt and add to his repertoire already? And this move at Usyk, I don't know what it'll be, but if he's fighting before Christmas, then he needs to get in shape quick, because there's only 8 weeks to go, let's say.
Well, my understanding, he's in camp, he's in shape, and just looking to get an out and get back to winning ways is my understanding. That's why they're talking about 8 rounders. Yeah. He wants to sort of go under the radar a little bit, and it's difficult for someone like Anthony Joshua because he's such a commercial commodity.
He's always been in shape all the time, hasn't he? Yeah. He always will be in shape. He's never ever not been.
But it's not about his physical shape, is it? No one's ever questioned his physical state. Zach, when I was talking about Anthony Joshua, and I know that the president of his fan club is here in Spencer, but I talked about the PTSD issue post various fights, whether it be the Alexander Usyk or the Daniel Dubois situation. But prior to Daniel Dubois, I always maintained that I felt that despite the performance against Jermaine Franklin, despite the performance against Robert Helenius, which had been blasted out by Deontay Wilder,
Eddie Hearn views this matchup with real seriousness, fully aware of how much is at stake for Anthony Joshua. He knows the outcome goes far beyond bragging rights and could shape the entire second half of Joshua's career. Hearn admits that a loss in a fight like this would raise difficult questions about whether continuing is even worthwhile. Still, his confidence in Joshua hasn't wavered. He believes the months of disciplined training, conditioning, sparring, and strict routines have rebuilt Joshua's focus and sharpened his mentality. Reports from camp describe a fighter looking composed, driven, and fully committed. Despite all the pressure surrounding him, Joshua keeps pushing forward, embracing the challenge rather than shying away from it.
Record saying that you and AJ must retire if Jake Paul wins on December 19th. Stand by that?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I suppose so. Shit, yeah. Look, I don't see a world where Jake Paul wins this fight. I know that boxing's boxing. I mean, what is it? Roy Jones came out this morning and said Jake Paul can win this fight.
Teddy Atlas as well.
Teddy Atlas. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, now I'm a bit worried. I won't retire. AJ should retire if he loses. No.
Sorry.
No, I see AJ winning this fight with ease, comprehensively, destructively, violently, and I don't see a world where Jake Paul is competitive in the fight, let alone win the fight. But luckily, AJ's not preparing in a way that he just thinks it's a joke. He's preparing for Jake Paul like he's a world title contender. Yes, it's been a little bit of a shorter camp. Yes, we've got to make weight this time around, but it doesn't matter. We should just slide through this guy and bash him up and beat him up, and we should do it early doors.
Just lastly, you said as well that you told Nikisa that he was weighing 290 when you were negotiating. What impact did that have? Did you feel like they would have gone even lower if they knew he was weighing 265?
No, I mean, I don't think that when you're negotiating on a weight, there's not one promoter in the world that would tell the truth about what the weight of the fighter was, and Nikisa knows that anyway. So it wasn't like we were being clever, but they wanted him to come to 240, and it's just, don't forget, AJ's never made weight before, so all of a sudden he's tried. He'd been in camp for 2 or 3 weeks, and he's probably sitting at 260, 265, and it's like you got to make 240.
One major source of Joshua's confidence comes from the high-level sparring partners he has brought into camp. Footage shows him working with top heavyweights who each offer unique challenges. Jared Anderson's explosive power and non-stop pace force Joshua to stay defensively sharp, testing every reaction and punishing any hesitation. Frank Sanchez presents a different kind of problem with his smooth movement, balanced footwork, and defensive skill, pushing Joshua to think faster and make smarter adjustments. These sessions are more than physical workouts. They recreate elite-level pressure that Jake Paul has never experienced. The variety of styles helps Joshua build a complete game based on timing, accuracy, adaptability, and the ability to shift tactics instantly.
Jake Paul is being dwarfed by these way bigger heavyweights like Jared Anderson, Frank Sanchez, and Lawrence Okolie. Okolie is like 6'4.5", 6'5", and these guys are like 6'3", 6'4", probably. So now Jake Paul is the one that's smaller. So first of all, I will give credit to Jake Paul. Clearly, he's a person who is taking his career seriously. These are quality sparring. I mean, a real boxer, because people say he's not a real boxer, but a real boxer would be using the same guys in their sparring camp. In fact, I just told you Joshua used Lawrence Okolie. I don't know if he sparred with Anderson or Frank Sanchez, but these are all regular ranked heavyweights. So credit to Jake Paul for that. And I mean, he's going to need it. Joshua is a different breed to, like, a Mike Perry when it comes to boxing. Different frame, different size. In case you didn't believe me, right? Jake Paul, this is what MVP Promotions posted. So Jake Paul top sparring, right? Heavyweights. And here's some pictures of Joshua with Lawrence Okolie. And again, Joshua, a big dude, but you see Lawrence Okolie, and he probably was cruiserweight back then. I mean, I don't know exactly when this picture was taken, but he's only like an inch shorter than Anthony Joshua. And now, as he's moved up to the full heavyweight, he has filled out more. You see, he looks even bigger than when he was a cruiserweight. Now, I gotta research it, but I want to say I thought Lawrence Okolie.
Tony Jeff views Jake Paul's boxing rise through the lens of someone who has seen his steady improvement over the years. He admits Jake started with very limited skill, but gradually committed himself to real training. Jeff highlights Jake's progress in fundamentals, better punch mechanics, improved distance control, and stronger discipline. He credits Jake for working with experienced coaches and pushing far beyond early expectations. In Jeff's view, anyone claiming Jake hasn't improved simply hasn't watched his development.
They get older. Now, a problem for Anthony Joshua is his activity. He's only fought twice in 2 years, and one of them, he got knocked out off Daniel Dubois. That was his last fight, and a lot of people say you can only judge a fighter's quality from their last fight. And then the fight before that was a win, but it was a win against Francis Ngannou. Francis Ngannou, if you know, he was the UFC heavyweight who's not a real boxer, and he only had one fight before that boxing fight, what he lost as well. So that's his activity in boxing. Now, Jake Paul, on the other hand, looking at his box rec, he's had 6 fights since 2023, and one of them was against Mike Tyson. But we all seen what happened in that fight. Mike Tyson was well past his prime. Where Anthony Joshua, on the other hand, is, but I'm not going to say he's coming into his prime, because he had some great wins earlier on in his career before he lost to Usyk twice. And by the way, when he did lose to Usyk, the last one was a split decision. It was a pretty close fight. So now this fight is matched, and I just want to look at the tail of the tape. Now, looking at the age difference, we've got 28 years old compared to 36 years old. So I guess the advantage there goes a little bit towards Jake Paul. 28-year-old is better than a 36-year-old. But that being said, we've got talking about experience and everything else, what comes with being 36 years old at Anthony Joshua's level. And then, like I mentioned, the heavyweights kind of seem to prime a little bit older. Now, come down to the height and the weight. This is the big one. 6'1" versus 6'6". 200 pound versus 252 pound. We got a 252 pounder in Anthony Joshua. The reach advantage is a lot, which we would expect. Amateur fights, we can see that Jake's only had one, where AJ's had 43, but 43 of them are including at the highest level, Olympic level. And yes, he won the Olympic bloody gold medal, if I don't need to remind you. Then the pro record, Jake Paul has had 13 fights, lost 1. AJ has had 28 fights, and he's lost 4 with 25 KOs. And the one person that Jake Paul lost to was Tommy Fury. Now, can we compare Tommy Fury with Anthony Joshua? Not at all. It's like night and day. So now I'm going to talk about the rules of this fight, and I'll give you my prediction, which is going to shock a lot of people after this. So, what are the rules? The bout will take place at a heavyweight, obviously. It's going to be 8 3-minute rounds. You might think, well, that's better for Jake Paul, and I'm thinking, not really. It's better for Anthony Joshua, because he's just going to go all out for them 8 3-minute rounds. And imagine that. Anthony Joshua blasting at you, 6'6", whatever he is, 250 pounds, throwing big bombs at you. Anyway, both fighters will be using 10-ounce gloves for the duration of the contest. Why have they got that? It says both fighters will be wearing 10-ounce gloves for the duration of the contest. What do you expect? Them to take them off halfway through?
Lamont Roach sees Jake Paul's decision as bold, but extremely dangerous. He understands the appeal. Jake has built his brand on shocking the public and proving doubters wrong. And financially, this fight is huge for someone so early in his career. Roach also notices the psychological side. Since Jake thrives on taking dramatic risks, and facing someone as intimidating as Joshua fits that image. Still, Roach warns that courage must be balanced with realism. Joshua carries true heavyweight power, which demands far more than confidence. While he respects Jake's determination, Roach believes this step brings serious risks that shouldn't be underestimated, no matter how big the payday is.
Excuse me. My first thoughts was, this guy's crazy. Not gonna lie. But I get it. Coming from a guy who's not a true traditional boxer, and to be able to have a position where he can fight a former unified world champion, former Olympic gold medalist, and to do it on such a stage where Anthony Joshua was a superstar as well. I mean, like, he sold out the O2, twice.
Absolutely.
I think. So, I think Jake is setting himself up for, a huge spectacle, and which is, kind of smart. If you're going to go big, why not go to the highest of the mountain? Why not? And I get it. That's what you call business right there. And I've seen a lot of guys calling them out, from like Gabe to other guys who are boxers. Yeah, like guys who actually beat them. But why would he settle for those guys when he could fight Anthony Joshua? So I think that's smart. I think that's super smart.
Smart is one thing. What do you think happens in the ring, though, champ?
I think he gets hurt for sure. I think he gets obliterated. Something close to like Francis Ngannou. I think something like that happens, and it's going to be bad for him. But there will be.
Chael Sonnen approaches the situation with blunt honesty, questioning whether Jake Paul is showing real courage or stepping into something that defies logic. While Sonnen respects Jake's willingness to face opponents who seem far above his level, he doubts the reasoning behind choosing someone with Joshua's size and knockout power. He warns that bravery becomes a liability when preparation can't match the threat. Taking risks is admirable, he says, but taking uninformed risks is dangerous, especially in a sport where a single moment can change everything.
The Francis Ngannou performance. What if Jake makes it 5 rounds, 6 rounds? What if Jake made it to the distance? What if Jake won a round? Now, it's very hard to believe. It's very hard to imagine. I think it's the big struggle with this fight. I cannot, off the top of my head, produce a fight for you in any form of unarmed combat that drew, that was exciting, where the audience did not have a reasonable expectation, an expectation to some degree that, well, if he does this or that, there is a way for this guy to win. And that's usually pretty easy to do because nobody knows anything about fighting. Nobody watching this right now, none of you, my millions of viewers, not one of you has ever boxed. Not one of you knows someone in the family. Well, my dad was a boxer. My uncle was a boxer. No, you don't. Not only are you not a boxer, you don't even know of a boxer. Now, I only share that because when I come out and say nobody knows what they're talking about when they're talking about boxing, like, it's not meant to be an insult. You don't know anything about boxing. It was never taught to you. None of you in recess boxed. None of your junior highs, your high schools, your colleges, your community colleges offered boxing. Your hometown didn't have a boxing gym. Now really think about that. Because as much as you love the sport and as much as you think that you understand it, not only do you not understand it, you can't even have a conversation with other people who do because they don't understand it. So what is a win? I think that time counts. I think that time is a very big deal. You're in that little bitty ring, and I know a guy can run backwards, but running backwards is not illegal in boxing. It is in wrestling.
Angelo and Josh focus on boxing fundamentals, noting that the sport requires years of competition, discipline, and exposure to elite opponents. They see Jake Paul as still developing, while fighters like Joshua and Deontay Wilder operate at a level defined by raw power, refined technique, and extensive high-level experience. According to them, Joshua belongs to a class of athletes whose presence alone can shift a fight's dynamics, capable of ending a contest in an instant, even if the opponent seems in control.
I just don't think that he could compete at the highest level, and I don't think he'd beat the top 5, top 6 guys. But that in that weight class is where he'd be at, like say 180, 188 or 189, somewhere around there is where he'd probably compete. There's not a lot of talent there though. So he might be pretty good in those weight classes. Him competing in the heavyweight division against like Deontay Wilder or Anthony Joshua or anybody else, no. He gets annihilated. I'm very surprised he signed this fight.
I was shocked he signed this fight. I texted my buddy Bo because Bo follows boxing really well, and I texted him. I was like, "Dude, we might see a death." And he said the same thing. He's like, "I cannot believe he agreed to that fight." But the numbers, the numbers that are, nobody knows the true payouts. They're saying it's around $200 million that they're splitting evenly. So they're getting about $100 million each. He said that it was $267 million. So I don't know who you believe or don't believe, or it could be they're splitting 200 and the 67 delta, they had to pay DAZN because Anthony Joshua has a contract with DAZN, and this fight's going to be on Netflix. DAZN.
It's DAZN.
So they, which makes how the hell?
Please stop saying DAZN, okay? That's like Saint Benoit, okay?
Where's the O in DAZN?
That wraps up today's video. Stay tuned for more updates, and we'll see you next time.